Hello, and welcome back to Granted Gardens. My name is Melissa, and today we've got a day ahead of us. So I'm gonna just start off by sharing the story, explaining our why, and then we'll kind of take you through roughly step by step, what the process is today. So this is by no means a how-to video. This is our why. It's something that we believe in. It's something that we want to do, and sometimes it's not easy. I'm going to give a very honest update on some of the things that we have had going on our homestead. A quick backstory: back in March of 2020, we decided to get chickens, and we were really excited about it. We did a lot of homework. We knew exactly what kind of chickens we wanted, why we wanted them. We were super excited. Getting chickens was a big milestone for us. It was something that was kind of getting us into a different realm, so that we weren't just about gardening. We were taking a next step into a dream that we had. And by adding animals to the homestead, that was getting us a step closer. So we had a lot of conversations about what having chickens would entail, the good, the bad, and the ugly. These chickens were gonna have a job. They were to produce eggs. We were looking initially at getting 3 chickens. Then we realized that you couldn't buy in anything less than 6, and we ended up with 8, you know what I mean? Chicken math. So we had talked, and we knew that the chances of us ending up with a rooster were probably pretty good. We had plenty of conversations saying that if we ended up with a rooster, we were going to harvest him. We were going to use him for meat. We know that we have predators. I think threat for us when we were planning on building this coop was the fox that we have back there. We've got a whole family of them. There's a den. They're back there every single day. I mean, sometimes they'll just walk straight past you. They're not even afraid. So these were all things that we needed to take into consideration when we were planning for the chickens and when we were building the coop, to make sure that the coop and the run were safe. We knew that our chickens weren't going to be able to free range. We don't have any kind of a fence. And then predators, obviously. So we built them a large run. And that was the plan. So that's kind of where we started. So we moved them out into their new coop and their new run, and everything went really, really well. We didn't have any problems after we moved them out here. There was no adjustments we had to make once we moved them out here. Everything seemed to be working just fine. Then one day when we were working outside, we heard a sound that we weren't expecting to hear. And that was a cock-a-doodle-doo. And that was the day that we learned we had a rooster. At that point, we had to kind of address the fact that we said if we had a rooster, that he was going to be dinner. And unfortunately, we bonded with him. So he stuck around, obviously. And it wasn't really a problem up until, I'd say, maybe about 6 months ago. We started noticing that a couple of the girls of our hens were losing a lot of feathers on their back, and they had deep gashes on their back. They had scratches on their back, to the point that we actually had to address it. So we actually went out and we got spray that helped heal it up super fast. I mean, it was a matter of days. And so we started doing research there about what that could possibly be. Now you guys need to understand that this is our first time doing chickens. We don't know, we weren't brought up doing this, so we don't know anything about all of this. It's our first time learning things. So we did our homework, and we realized that was from the rooster mating with the girls, and that sometimes he can get a little aggressive and tear out hair or scratch them. And so we started doing homework at that point for what our alternatives would be to provide a solution to this issue. And when I say that we were looking for a solution, I mean we were looking for a solution. We were doing research on a million different ways that we could try to help the situation. And I mean, one of them literally got down to like where we were considering like clipping Jeffrey, our rooster, his talons, you know, which I don't know. Do people usually give their roosters a pedicure? Because I can't imagine that that's an easy task. So we had addressed the open wounds. They were healed up just fine. But we were still noticing that there was a lot of feathers missing from the backs of the girls. And now at this point, it was getting to the point where it wasn't just one or two. There were multiple girls that were losing a lot of feathers. During the summertime, I worry about them, you know, getting sunburn due to that. In the wintertime, I'd worry about them freezing. So what we did was we got chicken saddles. Essentially, it's just like a little saddle that you put on the girls, and it'll help cover their back. It's supposed to protect them so that when the rooster gets on their back, he's grabbing the saddle instead of grabbing their feathers. Well, where this had helped a little bit in the past, this time it wasn't helping. And we had left those saddles on for at least a month. Obviously, we switched them out and washed them and stuff. But we had left them on for a substantial amount of time, just hoping that the situation would increase. It wasn't getting worse, but their feathers weren't growing back. So there was no new like actual like scar tissue or any kind of cuts or anything like that, but their feathers just wouldn't grow back. During about that time, we noticed that Jeffrey had a favorite. There was one chicken in particular that he would go after. And her name was Matina, and it got to the point where it was not just a matter of him going after, but it got violent, to say the least. And whenever Jeffrey would approach her, she would kind of try and shoo him away, and he would get angry, and his reaction, he would, you know, sometimes peck at her, and his reaction would start to stir up some of the other girls. It would get to the point where like Matina would be in the run being attacked by 2, 3, 4 chickens at a time. We knew we needed to do something. Again, we were going into doing research. We were considering building a chicken tractor for her, or for Jeffrey, to seclude Jeffrey. But then the wood prices skyrocketed, and that wasn't an option for us at the time. So we were kind of really caught up in this moment where we were trying to come up with a solution, but like address the situation right away. Like something had to be done. So we decided that Matina needed to be secluded for her own safety and for her to be able to kind of heal up again. And so the only thing that we had available to us was an extra large dog crate. I brought the dog crate out. I kept it kind of close to the coop. Just initially, like, I was just kind of going through the thought process of this, right? I came up with this idea for the dog crate, and I was utilizing it. And so I brought it out here and kind of set it kind of close to the coop. And we put Matina in every single day. She would sleep inside of the chicken coop with everyone else because they didn't bother her at night. But we would wake up in the morning, put her in the dog crate, and, you know, she had food and water and everything in there. And then in the evenings, we would move her back in to the chicken coop with the rest of the chickens. So we were moving her inside and outside of the run in the coop daily. It took only moments, and she was like usually at the door ready to go. So it was like we did it out of the goodness of our heart. And because we wanted her to be comfortable and safe. But in reality, like, it wasn't sustainable for us to be able to do this. This was extra work that was not part of the plan. So obviously this story doesn't have a happy ending. One day when she was out in the crate, a predator got her. We are not entirely sure what it was. I have my guesses that it was probably a fox, but we're not sure. And I ask you guys to, like, please be gracious with me in the story that I'm sharing here. We are brand new to this, okay? We're not brought up this way. Like, we don't have people in our family that brought us up, teaching us how to do this stuff. We are learning this every single day, a day at a time, on our own, and we genuinely are trying to do the best that we can. I can look back at that situation now and I can see where there was areas for improvement, maybe things that I should not have done, things that I could have done that would have resulted in a different ending. But honestly, in that moment, that dog crate was all we had available to us. And quite frankly, like, I thought that I had a solution. I thought that I had a solution until we could figure something else out. Obviously I was wrong. But I'm asking you guys to please be gracious during this and recognize that, you know, it was a lesson that we went through and we learned from. It was a sad lesson. It was not the goal. But I'm sharing this with you guys. I'm being raw with you guys because I think it's important to share the good, the bad, when sharing this journey. And I'm hoping that maybe by me sharing this, I can help somebody else. So after Matina was gone, we had to kind of reassess the situation. And we decided that if Jeffrey could keep himself in line, that he could stay. And things were good for a while. There wasn't any issues. Unfortunately, Jeffrey has now again started picking a favorite. And it is not to the point that it was at. It's not as bad right now. But there have been signs that it is going that direction, not only for Jeffrey, but for the other girls as well. So this time we're gonna do something about it. A few weeks back, we were able to go and spend some time with our friends, the Stivers, and they were able to teach us how to properly butcher a chicken. We now feel confident enough to be able to do this. We know what the process is. We know how important it is to make it quick and painless for the animal. And in all honesty, you guys, like, I eat chicken. I eat chicken. And when we got our chickens, I said that the whole reason why I want to do this is at some point I want to process the whole thing. I want to see the whole thing from farm to table. I want to know what that looks like. I want to be a part of that, because if I'm going to get up and go to the grocery store once a week and pull meat off of the shelf and eat it and consume it like it's nothing, you know, having barbecues in the middle of the summer, having friends over, and, you know, having copious amounts of food, and a large majority of that being animals, then I'm going to understand the process. I'm going to know what that animal gave up in order for me to enjoy that meal. That was important to me. And so I wanted to do every single step so that I can say I fully understand the process. I fully understand what goes into all of this, what goes into taking care of these animals, caring for them, making sure that they have a good life, at least doing the absolute best that you can. At least doing the absolute best that you can. And then what it feels like to stand there and make a decision in the moment. If you want to eat it, you got to kill it. I wanted to know what that felt like because I wanted to take responsibility for the things that I consume in my life. Now, please know that I've thought about this over and over again. This is not my favorite thing in the world to do, but I do enjoy this lifestyle. I enjoy this concept. I enjoy the fact that I can speak to what I consume in my life. I know what that looks like. I understand the process. So we have come to the conclusion, Jeffrey's got to go. So you can see the girls here. The one in the middle here is Cleopatra. She is the new favorite that is getting picked on both by the rooster and by the girls. Her back is almost entirely bare. The gold one next to her, Goldie Hen, her back is also pretty bare. You can see here Lacey, her back is also getting to that point. This one here isn't too bad. Alright, so we've got our setup back here in the woods, a little deeper into our property. The idea here is that it's away from any of the other animals, any of the dogs, so we don't have to worry about them getting into anything that might be left over. So here's our setup. We've got our table, we've got our bucket of ice water, and then Tyler's going to get the hot water now. Essentially, you're going to butcher the chicken, and then you're going to dunk it in a hot water bath. I think we're shooting for 180 because I guess that helps to make the feathers come out easier. You can pull the feathers out easier. And then you're gonna dunk them in the cold water bucket, and then you're gonna set them up on the table to do the cutting. Now this is the first chicken that we've done on our homestead. It's not necessarily something that we have structure in place to do on a regular basis. Like we said, we're addressing an issue at this point. So we don't have like a feather plucker or anything like that. We have not invested in the whole kit and caboodle to do this process easier on us. The feather plucking is a long, tedious task. So we're actually going to just skin the chicken as opposed to plucking all of the feathers without a feather plucker. Alright, so we put up the pieces here because we struggled a little bit with getting feathers off per what we totally expected. We struggled with getting some of the parts and pieces because we didn't have a plucker, and two, this is our first time doing this solo. But we got the majority of everything. I mean, we definitely got the majority of everything. I think it could have probably just have been a little less work if we had a little bit more experience under our belt, and if we had the plucker, obviously. The rain's coming. I'm hot. So just to touch on that is the first time that we've harvested one of our own chickens. Not gonna lie, I teared up a little bit on the walk back there. We raise these guys from babies, so that's hard to do. But as I mentioned earlier, it is a part of the process, and my chickens have a happy life. They have the ability to spend time outside. They have the ability to eat different stuff. We give them snacks, we give them good food. They've got water all the time. They can go in and out of the coop whenever they feel like. They get to experience weather. They get to experience, sunshine, snow. That's what this is about eating meat that had a life instead of something that was just bred to sit in a dark box until it eats enough to end up in somebody's dinner. So I appreciate you guys that have hung in here with us through this video, and I appreciate your guys' support too, don't forget that. So on a happier note, about a week ago, maybe a little less than a week ago, Tyler had mentioned to me that we had a broody hen, and that she was sitting on eggs. And so we talked back and forth for a while about what we were going to do about that. And I think we made up our mind. It's a little dark in here. Right there. There's Mama. We decided that we are going to let her hatch them. Hi, Mama. I think the timing on this was, ironic to say the least. So, this would be Jeffrey's only chance to, live on. And it was just ironic that we were planning on doing this today, and that, just a few days ago she decided that she was going to go broody. So, again, we're new to this. We've been doing a lot of homework the last few days. We've been calling on some friends to kind of walk us through this. She's got food, she's got water, and so far she's been coming out like a couple times a day out of the coop to kind of meander. So good news is we might have babies on the way. But don't cross your fingers yet. There's a lot that can happen between now and then. So we'll be sure to keep you guys posted on how that goes. But you know, full circle today. Full circle. That's life, right? As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We look forward to sharing more with you soon.